Hello, everyone. This is Waldorf,
And this is Stetler.
and today we're looking at issue 8 of the sneak preview.
Yes, so big announcement.
2.0 content.
Sneak peek. What's up, Night Agers?
Yes, they kind of got that wrong because it's always what's going on,
Yeah.
but YouTube. But in honor of him, they posted this. He actually won the Buckeyes Battle Tournament
Yes. With Orcs and Goblins.
with Orcs and Goblins.
That's amazing.
He had a good tournament. He played well.
He's inspired you to go back to Orcs and Goblins?
He has. I have to go back to Orcs and Goblins. When I got there, I conceded to him when I walked into Buckeye. I said, you know what? I'll let you have best Orc and Goblin General this time.
There you go.
I won't contend with you. Of course, I had my Equitane with me, so it wasn't much of a concession anyway. But anyway, so here's what we've got coming up. Starting with the aimed shot attribute.
So basically, these are sneak peeks of what we can expect to see in version 2 of the rules.
Correct.
Not complete views, just peeks.
Peaks. Some things are clear, some things are kind of whatever. But we'll start off with the aim shot, and basically what they're saying is there's going to be a number on your profile that tells you your to hit number. So there's no more of this. Your ballistic skill minus 7,
There's no
7 minus your ballistics, whatever.
There's no more ballistic skill.
Ballistic
And having to
skill is
calculate your basic number.
correct.
Whatever that basic number was is going to be your new
Right.
aim shot or whatever they end up calling it number. So
And they do point out that aim shot is somewhere in here. They mentioned, is a work in progress. It's not the final name.
so basically, instead of having ballistic skill 3 and hitting on 4s, you're just going to have an aim shot value of 4.
Yeah, you're gonna have a bow 4+.
Right. So
Like it shows here.
right. So it takes away some of the math.
Correct.
And I guess as they talk about here, that means they can do away with multi-shot because they can just incorporate it into the
To hit number.
hit number, and you don't have to worry about that minus. So it's only whatever modifiers that they keep.
Correct. And they show that some things can have like the Skink Chief can be quick with Javelin 3 or Blowpipe 4.
Right.
That's actually kind of interesting though. If they get rid of multi-shot, I don't think they can get rid of multi-shot. Maybe
As far as the modifier to
yeah, can they? Because
to the weapon.
wasn't there always the choice to fire once and get the +1 to hit?
I think they did away with that, didn't they? That was version 8.
Did they?
I was under that impression.
Don't know. Okay, I'll buy that.
Yeah, but maybe I'm wrong. Yeah.
Oh no, you may be right. Okay. So anyway, so they talk about that. You can hit on, like I said, the Javelin Chief will be equipped with a Javelin 3 or Blowpipe 4, which incorporates the multi-shot into it.
Right.
Into the to hit number instead of everything else. It says the rest of the shooting modifiers are expected to remain.
That's a little
So
disappointing.
it's a little disappointing because we were kind of hoping at least the stand and shoot would go away.
Right.
Anyway, and of course, here is what this is going to look like at the end of the. They're going to put this in at the quick reference table at the end.
Right. Visually, this is very confusing to me. Just because they have the bow with the 4-up and the Mongrel Raider.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have the throwing weapons 4-up with the Beast Baba. And
throwing
we're
weapons
assuming
5-up.
The second one is throwing weapons 5-up.
With the Centaurs or the Wild Horns.
Yeah.
Correct.
So when you start stacking up a lot of the data, it's going to get kind of weird. It'd be better if they, you see how they do these shading boxes?
Right.
That if the bow was one and then the throwing weapons was one larger shaded white.
Right. Shade both of those lines
Yeah,
white.
so you can tell it's for the same
Correct.
thing. Yeah. If you're not going to repeat the entry.
Yeah.
Just to use the graphics to make it easier to read.
Okay. I'll take that. And then they talk about the troop types, splitting everything else. So basically all this boils down to is...
So they're getting rid of all the old...
They're talking about here the number of 5 pages of exclamation to cover
and that
types
big
currently.
table that have all of the different things.
It's nightmare.
Yeah.
So they're getting rid of all that and condensing it down to pretty much this.
Right.
So you have, this is your height. You have standard, large, and gigantic.
And we don't know what that
And-
means yet, but
Correct.
basically you have 3 heights.
Large guys get trample 1, which is replacing stomp.
Right.
By inference here.
Yes, we're
Trample
guessing.
D6 is for the gigantic.
Yeah.
You know, he has, if you're gigantic, you have trample D6, towering presence, puny rider, and terror. Puny rider,
We're guessing
again,
this means that combined profile with you don't get any bonuses from your character
correct.
as far as defensive bonuses, but
Yeah.
against the monster. We're guessing what that is. Terror's still there.
Um,
The ranks are still the same.
ranks are still the same. Supporting attacks. I don't know when you ever have supporting attacks from gigantic models, but apparently if you do, you have 5.
Yeah.
Because you can't form a unit with them that I know of.
Well, it looks like some of the chariots might be that. So we'll
I
have
don't
to
think
see.
chariots are going to get gigantic, though.
We'll have to see.
Yeah, I guess maybe it's a possibility, but
Yeah, I think they're one of the ones that we saw that had that. Maybe I misread it or remember it
I
incorrectly.
think so. Yeah, it's this guy down here.
Yeah.
And then any special model rules. Standard has none. Large has trample. This has trample D6 anyway. And then you have 4 troop types: infantry, beast, cav, and construct.
Right.
Beast gets swift stride, and you'll have two identifiers. So you'll be if you're a standard beast, you get full ranks 5. 5 for a full rank and swift stride.
You basically had Swift Stride.
1 supporting attack. Blah blah blah. If you're a large beast, you can get full ranks for 3.
Right.
3 supporting attacks and
Which is
dangerous
the old
terrain on 2.
monstrous cavalry, basically.
And then they have cav, which is different.
Yeah.
Swift
I'm
stride,
sorry, the monstrous infantry.
monstrous infantry. Now that's going to be large infantry.
Oh, it's large infantry. I'm trying to think.
Correct.
What's the Swift? Oh, maybe like the
And it's
Yetis. There we
this
go.
is going to be
I was
interesting
trying to think of something that Swift Stride. That,
No,
yeah.
because I'm wondering if a giant is going to be a gigantic infantry. Because I don't see anything else where he really fits.
Yeah.
Which really doesn't mean anything, except because he doesn't have swift stride.
Right.
So I mean, it's pretty. I guess that's where he's going to fit. Anyway, but this is
that's a
this is
good
a
question.
really nice simplification here. The one thing I do notice that unless chariots end up being gigantic, chariots are down to 2 dangerous terrain checks.
Right. So they're more resilient on the going through dangerous terrain than they were before.
That's the implication of this chart.
Yes, if they're not gigantic.
And I really don't see gigantic chariots.
Yes. I thought I saw one when we were looking at later
did you?
down.
Later on? Okay.
I may have maybe remembering incorrectly though.
And we did see that chariots, as you'll notice, there is no chariot entry. Chariots
Right.
are constructs.
Wonder what war machines. I'm
You can see
assuming
by that.
what war machines are how they're going to fall in.
Maybe standard size constructs.
Maybe,
That would mean they can't be trampled, though.
but then they get the chariot rule. That wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense,
Yeah.
does it?
Maybe infantry. I guess we'll see when we see
Yeah, I
one.
guess we'll have to see that one.
Yeah, that's the only one that I was curious how that was going to work out.
Okay.
So yeah, I tend to like this because the other one was
Oh, there you go. Gigantic could become gigantic infantry,
yeah,
while a rock would be
it'd
a gigantic beast.
Yeah, there you go. Answers the question.
That answers that question.
Oh,
And long gone will be the times where a dwarven steam character had to become character, to be chariot, get a gav.
it'll be a standard construct. Huh.
Now it can be a standard construct.
So it'll be small and have those rules.
Wow, small. That's not even as big as cav.
Yeah. Well,
Huh.
Cav standard also, right?
What's that?
Cavalry standard.
Oh, correct. Cavs
Yeah,
is
yeah,
standard.
yeah.
That's a good point.
They just have that head over
Over
shoulders, rule.
shoulders.
Yeah.
Whatever that is.
They all have dandruff. The head and shoulder shampoo.
But it does, and there you go. Puny rider.
I think it just means that they don't get stomped and they can see over things. Who
Okay.
knows? We'll see.
And there you go. Puny rider does mean exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
Basically, you don't help. Very
Yeah.
intuitive.
That's
What's that?
but very intuitive. But it's definitely I think
it's much better
But I think it's much better. I think it's an improvement.
than what it was before.
Yeah, absolutely.
This gets a big thumbs up for me for
Yeah,
this whole
no,
chart.
I like this chart. I
And
like-
even the shooting thing gets a big
That-
thumbs up,
that's got a
except
big-
with the one exception of the doesn't look like the stand and shoot's going away.
yeah.
Then we have the model / unit profile layout.
Yes. So this is the big change, and you saw on the other reports they talk about how they're splitting the weapon skill between attack and defense, or adding AP as a separate ability, and they're renaming all of the most of the attributes to other
Right.
things.
And this is just kind of a chart showing what
the old value.
You have
was
advance
and the
rate,
new
which
value.
used to be movement, march rate, which used to be movement times 2. But it is saying out here that makes rules like cannot march are going to be obsolete because it'll just be the same value as this one.
Right. So we'll see what they
Which
do.
Which is really, this one's got me interested. This one's got me intrigued, I should say, because I'm really curious to see if if any chariot gets more than a standard move.
I mean, that would make light chariots worth taking, which is a problem.
Yes.
I think now people take the heavier ones because
Correct, because there's no real advantage to the light ones.
make them faster.
When you get a 2-inch move advantage, it's not
2
that
or
great.
sometimes 1.
Right.
Yeah. So
these are going to take getting used to for me.
renaming of the things. I think they
Your
may
leadership's called discipline.
a little over the top on some of these, but
This one's going to be tough. Resistance is now toughness.
Yeah, I'm surprised they changed that one.
So am I, because toughness is kind of a real generic term.
It's a generic word, Yes.
But I mean, so is leadership, for that matter.
Yes, but discipline, I'm okay with that one.
But,
Health points is kind of, I don't know.
health points is somewhat bothersome.
Yes, very D&D-ish.
This intrigues me.
No, they didn't rename special saves.
It'll be special saves. In profile, only non-conditional ward/region saves will be listed. So that's got me. When they put, does that mean they're putting this together? I don't know.
We'll have to see. I hope so,
Yeah.
but I doubt they will.
Offensive skill, which is your weapon skill.
Old weapon skill, yeah.
Strength is still strength. Strength they can leave alone, but toughness
they
can't.
have to change, yes.
And wounds you can't change.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, this has the advantage, at least a little bit of an advantage, is where in the rules they were talking about wounding, and there's some confusion with newer players with wounds versus saved wounds.
Yeah.
So now you can go, it wounds you, and then if you fail this, it becomes a hit health point.
Yeah.
Whatever. Anyway, not thrilled, but it does have that ability.
I don't like anything that's multi-words.
And agility replaces initiative.
Yeah, that's fine.
And again, ballistic skill goes away completely, which is kind of nice.
Right.
So we did get rid of one attribute.
We got rid of the ballistic skill and added a few attributes.
Yes.
I suspect, though, that the variance isn't going to be that big anyway. Initially, at least, it definitely won't be.
No, I don't see it. And now we get to the new layout.
And these are like some sample units.
Yes.
Funny how the beast herds are on there. I think Once Bitten was using his power to get them to look at his armor.
Yeah, let's blame Once Bitten.
It's his fault,
It's
clearly.
his fault. Always his fault.
Yes. It can have nothing to do with this being alphabetically the first
BH
army.
being the first army
Yeah,
book.
can't be that.
Couldn't be that. It's
Yes.
got to be the Once Bitten influence.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll go with that. Centaurs, this is the one, I like everything about this. I'm actually a fan of this layout. It's smaller. It has the ability to go on a card now.
I'll say it's more compact.
It's more compact.
Yeah.
The one thing I do not like about this is this
Yeah, that's
right
confusing.
in here.
That's very
170 points plus 26 points a model. And you can have 5 to 20 models.
right.
This leads to a little bit of, to me, it leads to a little bit of can lead to confusion.
Yeah.
I mean, knowing the game, I can say, okay, I get 5 models for 170 and can add up to 5 minus 20, which is 15 more at 26 a model.
Yes.
That's the way I interpret that.
That's
right
how I
now.
interpret this because we've been playing Ninth Age for a while.
Correct.
But
But
as far as the
I also
straight up-
see the ability to look at this and saying it costs 170 points
plus
plus 26 a model, and I
for the
have to take
first-
at least 5.
Exactly.
So now I have to add 130 to that. So a unit of Centaurs of 5 is 300 points.
Exactly.
I don't think that's what they're intending.
I would be surprised.
But anyway, it leads to that confusion. This just needs to be cleaned up. I think here it should just say 5 for 170, and over here plus 1 through 15 at 26 a model.
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of ways they can do
But
it.
something needs to change in this because I
Yeah.
just don't like that. It's kind of clunky.
They could extend it a little bit and stack it up, actually. 175 models, and then below that, plus 26 points per model, up to 20.
Up to 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, or plus up to 15 or whatever.
Right, right.
But anyway, that just could use some cleaning up.
Yeah, that's...
One thing I find interesting here is the armor save is now built into your...
Yeah, there was a lot of whinging on the sites,
chart.
people wanting to put the base armor save of units into the... on the profile
I'm not
someplace.
thrilled with this only because this unit doesn't matter, but you'll see down in a later chart,
Yeah,
because these guys come with light armor shield. If these guys had the option for heavy armor, now this 5-up doesn't apply.
right.
Now it goes to 4-up, and it's it's like it's written 5-up, but you gotta modify it. Anyway, just a little.
I'm okay with it, as long as they deal with... Well, we'll see on the next one. It's a better example, but I think there's an upgrade. No, there's not. We won't see it on the next one. We'll see farther down.
It shows it further down, yeah.
So here is an example of... I mean, I really hope that when they redo the army, like on this one, having 2 different crew, and they simplify that, but that's a whole nother...
Oh, the fact that there's a crew with a light lance and another crewman with a great
Yeah,
weapon.
and there's a number of chariots that have that. It's just annoying for,
Well, you have to roll them all
it's a
separately.
level of granularity that's unnecessary. Yeah, it's just not necessary. Anyway, it looks a little overwhelming when you see all the offensive. Now you only have 1 defensive because it applies to the model.
Right.
That's out, but it seems a little overwhelming when you see all of the offenses ones stacked up. But we'll get used to it.
Correct. And like you said, you use this section when you're attacking. I mean, when you're being attacked.
Defending, yeah.
And this one when you're attacking.
Right.
And of course, they show you this, and they say, well, this is what it used to look like.
Right.
Where it's a full page, but basically,
really, they just...
these rules could have been put up
Exactly.
here. And it would be the same.
Yeah,
size,
they could have gone to the card format without having to split
Correct.
the weapon skill. But
4-up.
but until we see what they're doing with armies, which these
We don't know.
samples, they've basically done the bare minimum to these stats, so people shouldn't get too riled up about the stats on their chariots if they play beast herds or these
Well, I mean, I
units.
was looking through these, and I don't see any changes from
Right.
what is currently there. Like, it's still a 7 advanced, 7 marks.
Exactly.
So they apparently haven't. They're either not going to change. I don't know if this means they're not going to change, or it means they just haven't applied those yet.
Well, we don't know what it means, but we know that it's clear that they haven't changed anything on any of these
Correct.
guys, and
Right.
you'll see that later on when we look at some of the characters. So people shouldn't get too worked up about that. That I'm not neither for nor against the split and weapon skill. I think they can do some neat things with it.
Yeah, I'm okay with a split and weapon skill.
It doesn't bother me at all, and it's going to take some time to get used to.
Right. And
I suspect many units are going to have the same value in both values anyway. It'll only be certain armies that probably will have the splits, so I don't think it's as bad as some
Yes.
people are concerned with.
yeah, I could see it. No, anyway.
But we'll see.
And then they do a mock duel with the sparkly elf versus the thug of the dork gods.
Yes.
And they just do a narrative example of it, and then they also go down to the mechanics of it, and they
Right.
tell you.
And you'll see here the stats have not changed at all. So,
Right.
and it's highly likely if anyone has a split in weapon skill, it's going to be the elves.
I would think it's going to
Yeah.
be the elves, but I don't know.
We don't know, but that's what it would seem to
And
be.
you can see the halberd is still +1 strength, +1 AP.
Right.
Armor penetration. Great weapon is still +2/+2 in this example.
Exactly.
So I don't know if that's that. It definitely doesn't mean that that's what great weapon is going to be when 2.0
Correct. Because
comes
from
out.
what they've talked about in the earlier things, it looks like they're really going to separate it. So
Correct.
they're clearly just doing straight up stat application. All this is showing you is the new format.
Correct. This is here to show you the new
Yes,
format.
nothing else. Don't read anything else into it. And then here's just a step by step of what compares to what, just
Right.
making it straight, simple for everyone.
Right.
Attack goes to defense, and defense goes to offense. So you only
Mm-hmm.
focus on the one line.
Correct. And the full page layout. This is the new full page layout of the army book for characters.
Right.
And this is kind of what I was talking about. You see, it's printed with an armor save of 6+,
Right.
but I take heavy armor and shield, and now my armor goes to 4.
Now, what they really need, I'm okay with that, but it should really be here. It should say heavy armor +1 AS, shield +1 AS.
Correct.
So at least you can do the addition here.
Right.
Because you'll have the card in front of you anyway, so
Correct. As long as it's
Yeah.
all there.
Right.
For players.
I
who've
shouldn't
been
have to go.
playing
I shouldn't have to
forever,
go to the
it
book
doesn't
and look it up. Well,
Right.
assuming it's going to be the same.
matter. Right.
If they're going to do the card thing, then everything should be on the card. Yeah, they really need to put the armor modifiers on there.
Yeah, that would be helpful. Just
Yeah.
and it wouldn't be hard.
No, exactly.
Moving on.
And it's the plus based on whatever the base value is. So yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Beast Chieftain. You can just.
It's interesting.
same
We talked about before. They split it up, so the chieftain and the lord are separate
Oh, correct. Now they're going
things
to be
again.
separate.
Yeah.
For a long time, they were the
Yeah,
same
for a while
entry,
they
and
did,
now
they
they're
did the
back
same
to
entries,
separate
so
again,
back to separate entries.
which is fine.
Yeah, I don't.
I think it's a little less confusing myself.
Yeah.
But Raiding Chariot, Tusker Herd, and what were we looking for from earlier? We talked about.
I don't recall.
It was something you said you were.
Oh, the
looking for.
size. It's a large construct.
What's that? Oh, yes.
Yeah.
It is a large construct,
Right.
not a gigantic construct. So, moving on from the large construct.
Yes.
As an example, Briar Beast, Gargoyle, Standard Infantry. Briar Beasts are large beasts. I like how this is working.
So let's look at the gargoyles real quick. So the flyers. It just has that second entry as far as it's
Yeah, ground and fly.
Now
what I'm curious, and they don't, of course, these don't
I'm sorry.
have
Scroll
it.
down again.
What's wrong?
That's interesting. So we've got still in the format. It could be confusing to people. You've got ground 5, 10, 7. Then you got metal special rules fly 10, 20 skirmish terrain walker. Then you have a next line. You have fly, and then you don't have.
Oh,
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. There's no 7 down here, or the fly's over here. What does it need to be over here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can kind of understand that. What I would like to see, the one thing they're not showing, because because of the units they picked to give the example, is the confusing thing with the Peg Knights in the Equitane army.
Right.
Because remember, they have the fly. I mean, they have the ground 8, 9 /
Right. Because of the
9,
guarding.
8 or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And hopefully they'll
so
just do
hopefully
away.
that'll all go away.
Yeah, they'll do it all that.
Because we mentioned that.
The one thing I think back to this card is I think instead of doing just these white cards with the black lines between them, back to the earlier comment, they'd be better off doing shaded areas.
Oh, between
Shade
these,
on,
right.
shade off, shade
Correct.
on. So the things group. So you're not tempted to read across. So
Yeah, that would help a little bit in the formatting. Again, I think these make the nice ability for cards, unit cards,
you'll be able to make unit cards, which
which I think is nice.
yeah, I'm a big fan of cards. I mean, you'll have to do. You want to get them so you can get them under like 3x5, which is U.S. measurement, but but basically at least 4 cards to a sheet of paper.
Right.
Whether it's a 810 or 8.5 by 11. So they're small enough that you can fiddle with them, but it's large enough that you can read the stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, not real sure what any of that is. It's definitely more entries than they were before.
Could be, yeah.
And that's it. So overall, I think it's a big plus. I just think I would prefer they clean this up.
Yes.
Other than that, I'm with them 100% on this whole thing. It looks really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to take some time getting used for people who are used to playing the game.
It is.
Getting used to the new names. It'll take quite some time. I think maybe a few of them they should think about maybe not changing just to the ones that are common words in the English language.
I don't like resistance. Other than that, I'm kind of okay. But resistance just kind of bugs me. I just don't like.
I don't like resistance. I don't like health points, but yeah.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm okay also. Yeah.
Right. It's to me more than any. It's just the resistance. But
Yeah.
Whatever. That's just a name. I mean, I'm sure for the first year, people are still be calling it something else.
Oh well, we still are struggling, with the names of things.
Correct.
Our old brains just can't always process.
Well,
but no, it
you've
is.
called it something. You've called it I've called it a black orc for years. It's hard
Yes.
to switch and calling an iron orc.
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
Yes.
We've only been doing this for 20 years, so
It's been a long
yeah,
time.
yeah. But so I mean, you get used to that type of thing. And as I said, I think people are a little worried about the splits and stuff. I think it's fine. It's a question. It's not until we see what they do with it does it matter. Right now, it's just a change in format.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I'm like I said, I like the change in formats. I like to move towards the to be able to use unit cards. I keep coming back to that, but I really
me
do
too.
like that ability.
Me too. Especially, I think it's even more important since they're changing it so much. It's going to help people, play the game because right now we all have so much stuff memorized. It's going to take a while to.
Yeah, and that's going to be
after they get through all the army books. It's going to take time for people to memorize this. So you'll want those cards to help you, and it's also be great because how many times somebody tells you tell somebody what your guy does, and he doesn't quite believe it, or he thinks it's something else.
Or just, let me see that again?
Yeah, let me see it. And then you got to find your army book and pull it out,
Right.
and, whatever.
Right, or your army list.
Your
or
army
whatever.
list.
And sometimes even those are not correct.
Not always correct. And, especially when you have things stacked up. And it'd be nice
Right.
just to hand over a card and say, here it is. Like you do with a spell sometimes.
Correct.
What does that do again?
Oh, here it is. Here's the card. Take a look at it.
Exactly.
Right. Again, I will say the other minor quibble from me is the armor save being here. I'm not a fan of this.
Yeah.
Because this shows a 5-up armor save, and the guy's a 2-up armor save.
Yeah, I don't mind just as long as below.
Sorry, this guy.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's weird. Okay. So this guy is not going to have a 2-up on this card because he doesn't have Mithril Mail Standard. I think that's a magic item they're talking
Correct,
about adding
yeah.
to him. So anyway.
But I'm assuming the cards will have the upgrades below, and like I said, I think as long as they add the plus value, it's okay.
Well, the upgrades, yeah, okay. But on a character,
Yeah.
they're not going to be correct.
As long as you have the plus.
Because you're always going to have a magic armor,
That's true.
so it's going to be different.
Yeah.
Anyway, just my opinion.
Yeah.
I think this may confuse more than it helps, in my opinion. On units, it's probably fine, especially units that
Are fixed.
and you don't have. We both play Equitane.
Yeah.
Equitane, that's going to be a 2-up armor save for
Yes.
most of the units.
Right.
But then again, you get to the Yeoman, which is a 4 or 5 or
4 or 5, depending what you're doing.
or 6, depending on how you deal with it.
Yeah.
So anyway, but anyway, that's it. I think it's a positive change. I think it's good that I like the sneak peeks. I think I would like to see more.
Yeah.
It's good to see the direction they're heading, in my opinion.
It'd be nice to know what their current release schedule is, but
Yeah. I mean, the thing I keep hearing is nothing before whatever.
nothing before August. We've
Nothing
heard that.
before August. Nothing before the end of August.
Yeah,
but that's
it's July now.
but that could be a long way.
Yeah.
And I can understand if
Because
they don't want to put pressure on the people that are doing
Sure.
this.
But what people hear is not before August means everyone's expecting everything in August.
Correct. Everything's September. Everyone I talk to is expecting.
Yeah.
Oh, so that means it's going to be in September, right? I'm like, no, it doesn't mean that.
Exactly.
But anyway,
But now they're getting
it
closer.
may mean that. I don't know.
It may. But now they're getting closer. Yeah, they may want to, and then maybe the next update, anything on what they're going to do with the schedule.
Maybe set some expectations.
And the one thing, and I think the other one that maybe some clarity on, because you hear people talk about all the time, is what they're going to do for 2.0 with the army books.
Correct.
Sometimes you say they're not going to do anything but adjust points. And, we're going to change some things. We're just going to incorporate it in. We're only going to do just WDG and
Right.
and demons will be new.
We'll have the different stuff, like
Right.
the split weapon skills are going to be
And they've
different.
said stuff before, but sometimes you kind of have to repeat things.
Right. Correct. But then I've heard on other things. I've heard, there will be tweaks. I've heard a lot of rumors.
So have I.
And it would be nice if it was cleared up.
Yeah.
So
especially since they're going, it's been going a long time for version 2.0, and
So an issue 9 next week of telling me kind of what I want to know would be awesome.
yeah, that would be fantastic.
And I can put a list of questions.
We would like a
together if
special
you would like to.
issue 9 for Waldorf and Statler, just giving us everything.
Correct. And you don't even have to type it up. Just tell us, and we'll just come on and talk about it.
Yeah, we promise we won't tell anybody else because no one watches our YouTube channel.
All right, I think that's going to do it for this.
All right, till next time.
Thank you very much for listening, or something,
Or not.
or whatever. Good night.